Well, Cleveland, it sounded like a playoff game. It felt like a playoff game. It had some playoff stakes in that the Cavs could have locked up the 4 seed officially tonight. But, guys, at the end of the day, it wasn't actually a playoff game. This is Spencer German with your Cavs Insider Postgame Report. After what was a disappointing loss for the Cavs, 130-116, they fall to the Knicks tonight. I mentioned the playoff atmosphere. It felt really all day in Cleveland that there was some buzz about this one, and kind of coming into to the arena downtown, you could kind of feel in the air that this one had some intensity to it and some anxiety to it in terms of fans kind of hanging on every shot. And the team certainly put on a show. I mean, you score 130 and 116 points, a lot of offense. At one point, the halftime score was 79-72 Knicks, and we got word that it was the largest combined halftime score in a regular season game in Cavaliers history. So, and the Cavs also scored 47 points in the first quarter, which was a regular season record as well. So all around, this one had a playoff feel to it and some playoff-esque moments, if you will. But I want to remind you guys all that it was not actually a playoff game. Keep that in mind. Think about the context of the situation because, yes, I understand the natural reaction to walk away from this game and feel that it's a disappointment and this Cavs team isn't going to be able to beat the Knicks if they meet in the playoffs and they're just not ready and maybe we need to lower our expectations and all these different things. But listen, there's a couple things I want to get to here. A, they had a defensive rating, the Cavaliers tonight, of 138 point something. It was the third worst defensive rating as a team they had all season, and I just do not think in any way that that is going to be replicated again the rest of the season, whether it's the last 4 regular season games or whether it's in the postseason. JB emphasizes that side of the floor rather, way too much. We know it's a staple of this team, and I don't think we see this team play that poorly defensively again in the 2022-23 season, however long it goes on. The other part of that, you're missing 2 of your key defenders. No Jarrett Allen tonight, no Isaac Okoro tonight. That matters, folks. That matters to how this game played out. And I understand people are going to throw out there like, whoa, the Knicks are missing Julius Randle, one of their best players. Yes, I get it. That matters too in the grand scheme of things. But that also just means Jalen Brunson probably isn't going off for 48 points. He had a tremendous night. He was trying to match Donovan's intensity. Together, those two guys put on a show. I mean, 48 and 42 points from those two. Really impressive performances all around. And they certainly lived up to the hype of this game, even though the Cavs end up on the losing side. I actually do wonder if Donovan ends up with more and maybe tops even Brunson, if not for picking up 3 fouls early. He was on the bench for the most of the second quarter because of that. And, I think that kind of derailed things for him in terms of his scoring spree because he had 23 in the first quarter, and it was some of the most beautiful plays I've ever seen. I mean, driving to the basket, scoop layups. I mean, they were works of art, these drives he was making. His threes were just rainbows that instead of ending at a pot of gold were ending in a pot of nylon. It was incredible. He was red hot, and then the 3 fouls kind of naturally cool him off as he goes to the bench. So that was unfortunate. But to get back to the main point here, I do believe, again, that we won't see this bad of a Cavs performance on the defensive end, whether it's against the Knicks in the playoffs or otherwise for the rest of the season. I also think when you get Jarrett Allen back, when you get Isaac Okoro back, those things kind of take care of themselves anyway. And missing those guys tonight certainly hurt, especially on the boards. They got out-rebounded 48-33. And when you don't have Jarrett Allen out there, that obviously makes a major difference in terms of how this game sort of played out. I also just want to add, as much as listen, I'm trying to keep you guys from going down the rabbit hole on this of just panicking because it's a loss to the Knicks and you might see him here in a couple weeks and all this. But hear me out. I think on some level, this might have been a good thing for the Cavs. I understand why it's hard to envision that. It feels like the sky is falling. But to get punched in the mouth this close to the playoffs by the team that you might see in the first round, I think it's going to be a source of motivation for this team. And you could feel the disappointment in guys like Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. JB Bickerstaff didn't mince words on how he felt about the defensive effort and how guys got to be ready to step up on that side of the ball, and really how guys have to play harder and better just in general. And he's been like that all season, right? Like, he has made a point in emphasizing that throughout the season. So it's no surprise coming from him. But I do think that this wake-up call, this gut punch, whatever you want to call it, is going to pay dividends for them once they get to the postseason, assuming it's against the Knicks, because it looks like it's going to be in that first round. They're going to know a little bit more what to expect from this team, and they're going to know we can't take them lightly, particularly if they don't have Julius Randle, and we got to bring our A game because it's still the NBA and you can still get beat on any given night. I think it's something that gets spun into a positive for them. It's a lesson. That's what JB called it after the game. I also think this, and I've been sort of mulling this thought over for several weeks now, but I don't see any way in hell that Donovan Mitchell, given everything we know that transpired back in September, where the Knicks were in on him, didn't want to pull the trigger and give up a little bit more. Cavs get him. He comes here. He thought he was going to be a New York Knick. He thought he was going to be playing for his hometown team. And I just don't see any way that Donovan Mitchell lets his team lose to that team after they bowed out of the sweepstakes for him, didn't want to bring him home. He thought he was going there. He is going to ball out. Listen, he brought some juice tonight. I said it, 23 points in the first quarter before he got the 3 fouls. He was playing with an edge. Yes, he generally does, and we've seen some incredible performances from the night. This season, the 71-pointer stands out among all of them, but he's going to bring that juice in a series against that team, and I just don't envision him letting his team lose to them. I don't. It's his hometown team. I asked him after the game about, is there something poetic about the thought that you guys might actually play them in a first-round series? And he said, absolutely. It's full circle. He always dreamed about playing in Madison Square Garden and having a moment with that team involved in some capacity. He made it clear, as much as he thought he was going to be a Knick, he is happy that he's here in Cleveland. He's looking forward to that potential matchup and that potential challenge. The reason I asked him that question too is because I wanted to see the raw emotion of his answer, and he gave it to us. He talked about his childhood growing up watching that team, what it meant to him, and what it's going to mean to him to be in a moment like that, assuming it plays out. And he called it fun. He called it a challenge that he is ready for. So I think with all that in mind, and seeing how he played tonight against this team, knowing it was kind of his last chance to make a statement against them before the playoffs, there's no way he lets this Cavaliers team lose to that team in a 7-game series. It might go 7, it might go 6, it might be a competitive series, but I bet on Donovan to be the one who gets his team out on top over the Knicks, even if they get Julius Randle back, which I kind of want because I want to see that series play out as evenly as possible. I don't want to have any asterisks of Knicks fans talking about, well, if we had had Julius Randle, who knows how this thing goes. So I'm looking forward to it. It seems like that could be how things play out. I understand the disappointment tonight because the Cavaliers could have locked up for certain that 4 spot. Now they have 4 games to go to try to get it done. The good news is they control their own destiny. I don't see things falling apart here. I think they'll be okay. They'll get it locked up. And we may just be seeing this Knicks team right back here in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in about 14, 15 days or so. I hope you're looking forward to it. Try not to panic. Try not to go down the rabbit hole. I think despite disappointing as the loss was, there's a positive spin to take away from it as we look ahead to a potential matchup with that team here in a couple weeks. That's going to do it for our Cavs Insider Postgame Report. I'm Spencer German. Be sure to follow us. I shared that Donovan Mitchell interview clip that I got from him at Cavs Insider _FN on Twitter. We'll make sure we get it on Instagram as well. You can follow us there at the same handle. Keep in tune with all things Cleveland Cavaliers at CavsInsider.com. I will talk to you guys soon. We're planning a podcast hopefully this weekend to kind of recap on this thing. Maybe recap a little bit on the game on Sunday as well. A lot of good stuff coming your way here down the stretch as we get you ready for the Cavaliers and the 2022-23 postseason.